This all starts June 16th, 2004. I sit there and first I go to the local grocery store and grab me a couple of cans of sweet corn and head back to the house. Later that afternoon, I went down to the back of the property, popped one of the cans of the sweet corn, and started spreading it along up the hill and um, down the path and up to the highway. The second can of sweet corn covers the rest of the highway and up the drive and into the yard. I go into my room in the house. I fix dinner, eat, take a shower, get everything ready for tonight because tomorrow morning I'm going to bag me a deer. I head out to the RV about 11:30 and set my stuff up. I put the gun next to the door, put my sword next to the door. It's a hand and a half bastard sword. And put the 4 extra bullets that I have. Yeah, 4 bullets. On the counter next to my phone. And it's got 1 bullet in the chamber of, my single shot. Winchester. It's a 30-30. So yeah, we're putting out little tiny 223 bullets here. So I go to bed at 11:30. I end up waking up at about 3:15, 3:14. Something's got me spooked. I just woke up out of a dead sleep. I look outside and the xenon floodlight bulb that's 1,000 watts is on, and it only turns on if something comes within 30 feet of the floodlight. So something's out there, and all of a sudden I start feeling this fear. I don't know what it is. The creature that comes up to the window, it sticks its nose right there to the edge of the window and blows some fog on the window. And then, half a second later, it takes a step forward. Its whole head is covering the window. And this window is 1.5 feet wide and about 10 inches tall. And on the outside of the vehicle, the top of the window sits at about 7'2". This creature's head is much bigger than the window. It probably sits 3 or 4 inches, above the window. That's not counting ears at all. That's just to the top of its head. So to the top of its head, it's 7.5 feet. What I see is a wolf-like head. Main coloration on the whole body is dark charcoal or cobalt type black hair, and the very tips of the hair is like silver, like the last half inch of the hair. On the face, where the whiskers are, there's a line of white there where the whiskers are, and just underneath it is a line of silver, and on the cheek is like a 5-sided mismatched shape that's kind of tan. Honestly, that could be mud. I don't know. On the eyebrows is silver. The tips of the hair and the fringe of the hair is silver. I'm sorry, the tips of the ears and the ear hair is silver. Along the back of the shoulders and along both sides of the shoulders is silver, real heavy, and a little bit down the back. In a minute, whenever the creature, decides to move, I end up seeing canid legs, so just so you know. The creature has a bodybuilder's physique, humanoid type chest and arms, but they're hairy, and they're very, very well built, sculpted. At this time, I'm not breathing at this time. I'm thinking of a million things at once, and at the same time, I'm tossing my rifle up in the air and lining it up for a shot at this thing's eyeball. And I realized how stupid that is and set the gun down between my legs. Don't really know what to do. I'm scared crapless. The creature's looking in at me, and I'm sitting there thinking all these thoughts, and I'm sitting there realizing that it's using my thoughts to try to locate me inside this, you know, structure. So while it's trying to locate me inside the structure, I'm thinking all this. I decide to test some things. And first off, is I got a message from this creature, something like, I know you. And while it's looking in, I sit there and close my mind, cut everything off. I go blank. Nothing but the air conditioner that's sitting there going off right next to me. Air conditioner blowing and a cool, calm breeze. And I project that at this creature. And it kind of looks funny. It it raises its eyebrow at me. Gives me that look that The Rock gives on WWE. Like, what the heck am I cooking? Then I sit there and think, yeah, I'm looking at the back of your head. I'm in the house, looking out that front window, right at the back of your ugly head. And this thing sits there and turns and looks right at the house. I got confirmation. This creature knows what I'm thinking if I think it too solid. I can use this. So I sit there and stay calm, stay quiet. And at this time, the creature shoves the side of the RV. So I'm holding on for dear life. And it rocks back once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. And it's just with one push. So I'm thinking, man, this thing pushed the RV really, really hard. And apparently I'm just pissed it off because it doesn't know exactly where I'm at, even though it smells me in here. The werewolf, and I'm calling it a werewolf because that's what I think it is, steps back and turns, and as it does, I get to see from the front and the side and all the way in the back as the light curls around its body. And once it does this, I notice that on the back, underneath that ruffle of silver at the shoulders and above the tailbone, just a little bit, is a pattern of scars. It's a pattern of scars I recognize, and everything comes really clear. The werewolf starts walking along the front of the yard to the other side of the house, following the way that I went from the room whenever I came to the RV. So it's tracking me, making sure of itself. While it's doing this, I'm taking the few seconds I have I grab my gun, I grab my sword, I grab the 4 extra bullets I have, and I go to the back of the RV and make sure that the shutters, the window blinds are closed and there's no way for anything to see in. And I put my foot up on the bench on the driver's side in the back so that I can step up there, because that's where I plan on being, is right there in the corner. It's the only place in the RV where I can just stand in one space and be still. At this time, I start hearing the werewolf coming back toward the RV. It's running. Boom, 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 boom. And I mean, it's there in no time. I mean, this all happened within seconds. And I mean, I was looking at that creature for so long right there at that window. I mean, I could see its eyes, its mouth, its gums, its teeth, everything. The gums at that window, whenever I first saw it, its gums were kind of had black ridge along the edge and were pink inside. The teeth were long. You're talking about 2-inch plus fangs. I couldn't give you an exact. It wasn't 3 inches long though, but it was somewhere between 2 and 3 inches. its canine fangs. The rest of the teeth were, closer to 2 inches all the way along the board, and there was a lot of teeth. Uh, all canine teeth, though. The eyes, slightly larger than human eyes, and have a black pupil with black lines coming out on the iris, and the iris was a metallic fire engine red color. It did not glow. I'm not sure about eye shine because it had light going on it from like two different directions. So um, I think it was just direct light that was showing me that it was metallic. Now back at the back of the RV, this thing, instead of going back to that window that it was at first, it goes to the back of the RV. I guess it's trying to get a different angle and looking, from that direction. Well, I was right there at the freaking window. What is the luck? What is the fate of all hell that I'm right there at the window and it comes right where I'm at? So I step up onto that bench and into the corner, and it tries to look through the blinds and it can't. I've just shut them. Shortly before that it was shut. And so I'm looking down on it from up in the corner right there, and it squats down and starts, looking toward that door on the passenger side where I would come out, and kind of has its ear cocked back so that it can hear the front, if I try to leave out the driver's side of the vehicle. During this time, I'm praying to God. I'm asking for all kind of help. I'm thinking in my mind, just you go ahead and come in here. You come in here, and you're gonna have something at you. I'm gonna cut everything off that comes through that comes into this RV. And the whole time I'm thinking, I'm just sitting there, just being still, standing in the corner. Legs are hurting, muscles are aching, and I'm wondering how long this being's attention span is. About 15 minutes goes by. So, I don't know, probably total encounter time is 17, 18 minutes. I'm guessing that the encounter started at 3:14 and ended at 3:34. The werewolf gets up and walks into the darkness on the driver's side of the vehicle, walks up along the driver's side, bumps the vehicle a little bit, and then walks up the driveway. When it gets to the top of the driveway, it heads down between the mailboxes and the loam. That's the last time I see it. I stop feeling the projected feeling of fear shortly after that. I sit down on the bench I've been standing on, and I'm thinking, I'm wondering, what could I do? What could I have had that would have made a difference here? What could I have done better? I get up and I go to reach for the door so I could go outside and check stuff out, and I cannot, for the life of me, make myself open that door and step out of the RV. So apparently this thing has affected me seriously, and I am not a person that gets afraid very lightly. I go back and I sit down. I lay down on that bench and I pass out. The next morning I wake up and I go out, and there where that creature was standing, where it had pushed the RV, about a foot above where I could reach, was a piece of, on the metal of the RV, it had a handprint on it, and two of the fingers had actually pressed right through the metal of the RV skin. I didn't smell any odd smells outside at first. Then whenever I got a small ladder and went and smelt where the claws had went into the RV, there was a slightly odd smell, decayed smell there. That could have been on its claws whenever it pushed them into the RV metal. And the only footprint that I found, paw print, was behind the mailboxes where the iron ore meets the pine needles and loam and all that stuff there. I checked around ways and I didn't find any other footsteps or paw prints. And being that the land is mostly iron ore and sand, there's not going to be anything anywhere. Well, that's the rest of my encounter.